In a quiet small town in the United States lived a young man named Ethan Carter, just 22 years old. On the surface, he was like any other college student, walking to class with books in hand, sitting in lecture halls, and smiling politely when others asked how he was doing. But deep inside, his world was falling apart. His family had been struggling for years. His father had lost his job at the factory. His mother was juggling 2 part-time jobs just to put food on the table, and Ethan carried the heavy weight of student loans on his shoulders. Every month, the bills piled up higher, and every day, the pressure grew stronger. He sent out job applications, hoping for even a part-time role, but the replies were always the same. "We regret to inform you." Rejection became so normal that he stopped opening emails right away. People around him whispered, he should stop dreaming so big. Some people just aren't meant for success. Sometimes the hardest battle is not against the world, but against the voice that tells you to quit. Ethan sat in his tiny rented apartment, staring at an eviction notice on the table. His landlord wanted the rent, but Ethan had nothing left to give. In his email inbox was yet another rejection. He held his head in his hands, his heart pounding with frustration and despair. For the first time, he broke down completely. Tears streamed down his face as he whispered to himself, "Why me? Why can't I just catch a break? Maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not good enough." That night, he thought of calling his parents and telling them he would drop out, give up on his dreams, and settle for a life he never wanted. But deep in that silence, something stirred within him. A small voice, faint but firm. "This is not how your story ends. This is where it begins." Rock bottom is painful, but it is also the strongest foundation to build a new life upon. The next morning, Ethan stood in front of his cracked bathroom mirror. His eyes were red from crying, but his heart carried a new fire. He looked at himself and whispered, "No matter how many times I fall, I will rise again. I will not let my struggles define me. I will write my own story." From that day forward, everything changed. He built a routine with discipline. While his classmates partied on weekends, Ethan stayed up in the library, learning new skills, watching online tutorials, and building projects that nobody believed in. He worked late-night shifts at a diner, washing dishes and serving tables just to keep food on the table. It was exhausting, but he told himself, "Pain today is power tomorrow." Discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. The journey wasn't magical, it was brutal. Ethan faced failure after failure. His first business idea collapsed within weeks. His second project didn't even get noticed. He felt embarrassed when friends asked how things were going. But with every failure, he reminded himself, every master was once a beginner. Every success story starts with scars. And then, finally, came his first small win. A client online paid him $50 for designing a simple website. It wasn't much, but to Ethan, it was proof. Proof that he could create value. Proof that his effort mattered. That $50 note wasn't just money, it was hope. Don't wait for $1 million moment. Celebrate the small wins that lead you there. 2 years of sleepless nights, endless failures, and countless sacrifices passed. Ethan had grown tougher, sharper, and hungrier. One day, he got the chance to present his startup idea at a competition in New York. Standing backstage, he felt his legs trembling. He thought of his past, the rejections, the nights of hunger, the loneliness, and then he remembered his promise in the mirror. "I will rise." When his name was called, Ethan walked to the stage, heart pounding, but voice steady. He spoke about his idea, his vision, and most importantly, his story. The audience fell silent, listening not just to his business pitch, but to his fire, his conviction, his unshakable belief. When he finished, the judges didn't just clap. They stood. That day, Ethan walked off the stage with funding that would change his life forever. Opportunities don't come to the lucky. They come to the prepared, who refuse to quit. Years later, Ethan was no longer the boy facing eviction notices and rejection letters. He was the founder of a growing company, employing people, supporting his parents, and mentoring young dreamers who once stood where he had stood. He often returned to his small town, standing outside the diner where he once washed dishes. With a smile, he thought, "If I could survive those nights, I can survive anything." One evening, Ethan stood before a packed auditorium, invited as a motivational speaker. Looking at the crowd, he said, "They told me I would never make it. But I learned something powerful. Success is not about where you start. It's about refusing to stop. When life knocks you down, get up, again and again and again. Because one day, the world will no longer ignore you." The hall erupted in applause. And at that moment, Ethan realized his pain had become his purpose. Your struggles today will be the reason someone else refuses to give up tomorrow. Ethan sat alone, looking at the city lights. He remembered the boy crying in his small apartment, the nights of hunger, the endless rejections. And he smiled, because every tear, every failure, every scar had shaped the man he had become. Don't let your pain break you. Let it build you. Your story isn't over. It's just waiting for you to fight for it.